Hello friends, welcome to my channel Gauri's 3 C's and welcome to my second episode of paper crafting tools and supplies. Today we'll be talking about punches, die cutting machines and embossing tools.
Next off, I want to talk about especially when we talk about paper cutting, while you could cut a paper in different shapes and sizes using a pair of scissors, something that do tend to come in handy are paper punches. So I have many more paper punches, but I wanted to demonstrate some of the paper punches that I have here. Holes that you have to make for tags or anywhere on to put embellishments on your cards. This is a standard hole punch, which is just an office supply like hole punch that you could use, and it's easy to have on hand, not only in your craft room but even in your study or office room. But this is a larger and a variation of a hole punch with some additional functionality, which I will cover in one of my other videos that I plan to do on these series of tools and supplies. So I do plan to do a few more parts of tools and supplies, and I will cover it at that point. But I wanted to show you how the hole punch portion of this particular tool, which is called a crocodile, not a crocodile but a crocodile, and does help. So I'll bring back my piece of cardboard over here, which is pretty thick. And if I say want to punch a hole here, this hole punch is just not going to work. It's not going to go through the thickness of this, and this standard size hole punch is not going to work. But if I bring in my crocodile, that can easily slide through and punch a hole where I want. And I'm not even going to apply too much pressure here. That can easily punch a hole through really thick pieces of card, vinyl, or fabric, or any other material that's more thicker than an average paper or cardstock. So a variation of a hole punch there. There are several shapes and sizes of punches, and I wanted to demonstrate some of the punches that I have here. This is a basic circle punch, and if you are into card making or scrapbooking, definitely you would find the use for a circle punch in different sizes to layer things around. So for instance, this is the kind where you squeeze between your finger and your palm. This is one type of a hole a punch, paper punch. That's one variety. This is another kind of punch where the hold is slightly different, but the function is essentially the same. This is a different shape. It's an oval punch. You could hold it this way and punch it out, or you could place it down. The only problem with placing it down is you don't know exactly where you are punching the hole. So it helps if you are holding it up so you can see through this portion and then punch it out. A couple of different varieties of hole punches and paper punches. One other useful tool that I find, especially with boxes and 3D object making, is a corner rounder. So when you're making cards or 3D objects, you may want to take the tab of the box that you're making and make the corners round. So obviously you could do that with a pair of scissors, but it will not be consistent every single time. But with a corner rounder, you have a rounded corner in a matter of minutes, and every time it will look exactly the same. There are other varieties of paper punches that are available. These are called border punches. Do the exact same, same technique, though they're normally flat on the bottom. Then you could use that, and you could line the scallop up. So each time, for example, since this is a scallop punch, I could just line them up in such a way that the next punch is also exactly at the right place and it's not off. There you go. That's a scalloped edge. So it's a example of a border punch that you could buy. One last tool I want to demonstrate and leave you with is a embossing and die cutting machine that I have. Now, what I have is a very basic manual embossing and die cutting machine, my Cuttlebug, but there are several electronic and other variations of die cutting and embossing machines available in the market. They scale up, and this one's a very basic one, I think in the $40 to $50 price range, but as they scale up they go into several hundreds of dollars. But I wanted to demonstrate what I have with a Cuttlebug. This is a manual machine with a crank and a handle on top, and there are different plates and folders and dies that can pass through this Cuttlebug, and it can create the effect that you're looking for. There are two types of sandwiches, as they call it, that can be made with the Cuttlebug. One is an embossing sandwich, another is a cutting sandwich. So I'm going to demonstrate the embossing sandwich first, for which you start off with putting on your A plate, which is your base platform for the paper to be put on, and then add in a B plate. You put your paper on top of, in between your embossing folder, this way. Doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, depending on how you're going to probably use a section of it, so it doesn't matter. You put that in, and right on top of it you put another B plate. So you've sandwiched your paper and your embossing folder in between two B plates. Put that on the platform and crank that through. You may want to do a reverse as well, just to make sure that it has covered the entire paper. And when you take your paper out, you'll see that the pattern on the embossing folder has now come on to your paper. So and there are different designs of such and different brands of these embossing folders that are available. You could mix and match and use them in your card making and die cutting. The next demonstration I wanted to do was for die cutting, for which again you start off with an A plate, which is your base platform, and then put on top a C plate, which is your cutting plate, and then the die. In this case, I'm using this the shaped die, which is a slightly larger one. These are the ridges on the die. This size is the smoother side, and this is the one with the ridge. Put that on. Put the paper after that. Put one B plate on top. And crank that through. Back. And let's see. That's created a die cut shape for you to ready to use as an embellishment or in your card. There are several other tools. Even if you look at the cutting and scoring area, I'm sure there are several other tools that are available in the market, but these are the tools that I have, and these are the tools that I use often, so I wanted to share them with you. I'll also be doing a few other videos in this series of my craft room tools and supplies, and please do watch those videos and let me know what you think. If you have anything to share with me or anything you would like to see, please let me know. If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next one.